Hello there.
Everybody.
Well, hello.
Welcome. Another Wednesday here with the real football fans of New Jersey. We got a good one for you tonight.
Got a lot.
I know a lot of people have been waiting for fantasy football content. This is a very good episode for that. It is episode 216. We've got record predictions. We've got more about, the drama llama between the Gorgas and Teresa and the wedding. Of course,
got that drama
llama. We're going to be
llama.
talking about that for a while.
Honestly, until we see it on the TV, we are going to be talking about it, and then we're going to be talking about it more.
We're going to be looking at, offenses across the league for this upcoming season. So much to dive into for episode 216. But we are going to start with some poll results. We polled you guys on our social media outlets. So many votes. Thank you.
Guys, we had hundreds of votes this week.
Yes.
Like, shout out to all of you. Like, you came ready to vote this week.
I think people are just super excited for football. I think people are ready. So they're chiming in with their opinions. We love it. Obviously, during the show, if you have questions for us, we love that too. Engage with us. We are here for you, here to answer anything you got.
Here for you.
The first poll question that we had was, how many games do you think rookie quarterback Kenny Pickett will start for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season? Over 8 games or under 8 games? 64% of you said under 8 games. Let's keep in mind, Mitchell Trubisky is kind of slated as QB1 right now. Kate, what did you go for on this one?
I went for under. I think if you guys, know from discussions going into the draft, after the draft, over the past couple of weeks, this Kenny Pickett hype for me is so odd and so weird. I remember I'd sent, Katie something like 2 weeks after the draft, and like they were showing the top selling jerseys in the NFL currently. And it was like Patrick Mahomes, I think number 3 was Kenny Pickett. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, I don't understand, like, because he went to Pitt and now he's in Pittsburgh. That doesn't mean he's going to be a good quarterback for you guys. Like, just let it play out. Like, it's just
that probably is what it is. It's probably all the people that are Pitt college fans, right. Like whether he's good or not. He's in the NFL now and he plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want his jersey.
Yeah, it's that. But then I think too, it's that uneducated hype, I'll call it, because I think people are so excited for that factor. Pittsburgh Steelers fans are probably excited to have that pit to pit transition. But I want you to actually make an educated, decision on if this kid's going to be good. Right now he's not even QB1, like you had just stated before. He's not technically in that position. So I don't really see it. I think he'll go in here and there. I think you're actually going to see a little bit more of Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph kind of go back and forth through the season. And then Kenny Pickett gets slotted in when the Steelers are probably freaking frustrated with the 2 other guys. So we're going to see all 3 of them which season, which I think is crazy. And that scares me for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, honestly, it could be possible that we see 3 quarterbacks from the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, especially I think more so if somebody got injured and then it kind of forced their hand, but it could happen. Absolutely. I went with under 8. I think they are, obviously going with Mitchell Trubisky going into the season. And as long as, they're getting wins here and there, I'm sure they're still going to go with him. And like you, it's funny you bring up Mason Rudolph, because what I was going to say is that I've heard news in training camp that, Kenny Pickett's been taking QB3 reps. Like it's not always working with the second team. So that kind of says a lot there as well, that he, even though first quarterback off the board in this year's draft, we could be seeing him as more of a project for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They could be stashing him away. So. All right, question number 2, another quarterback question for you guys. Who do you think will be the week 1 starter for the Carolina Panthers, Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold? Obviously, head coach Matt Rule said that, yes, we are having a quarterback competition. We have not made our decision. They're not going to be making their decision until, right before the season. But you all have seemed to have made a decision because 92% of you went with Baker Mayfield. Caitlin, who did you go with on this one?
I went with Baker. I'm with the majority on this one. I'd love to the 6% that did go with Sam Darnold, I would sincerely love to hear their side of it. So
that would more so have to be someone who just really didn't believe in Baker. I feel like maybe
I don't believe in Baker that much,
but I believe in Baker more than Sam Darnold. Spoiler alert, I went with Baker as well.
Yeah, and that's why I don't really believe in Baker Mayfield either, but that doesn't. I would just love to hear. So if you are watching and to this answer you did pick Sam Darnold, like tweet at us, find us on Instagram. Like I would truly love to hear like just why. And I'm not here to make fun of you. Not here. I would just truly love to hear it because I haven't really seen that across the board. Even going into voting tonight, what you're reading up on, what you're seeing on social media, it really isn't giving him any favor right now, even though they still have not decided. I just think at the end of the day, Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback. Doesn't mean not throwing all my eggs into one basket with him, but we've seen what we've seen from the two of them. And if I had to start one of them, even if he's on a brand new team, it's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, so I'm kind of done with Sam Darnold. I've kind of decided that I just don't like. I felt like I did not throw in the towel, by the way, when he went from the Jets to Carolina.
No,
in my mind, and I think a lot of people's minds, it was like, okay, like the Jets aren't that good, right. And maybe Sam Darnold just got stuck on a bad team, and now we're really going to see what he's made of.
I think a lot of people.
And he came in, and he actually started off really hot for Carolina, and that got people's attention.
Right.
And then he kind of just fell back into what we saw him do with the Jets. And so I don't think it's like a circumstance with what team he's on. I've thrown in the towel on Sam Darnold. I actually have a little bit more belief in Baker Mayfield than maybe you do and maybe some other people do. I still believe that he is definitely a starting quarterback in the league, especially when I look around at some other teams' quarterbacks. I'm like, I'd way rather have Baker Mayfield. Like I've seen the kid win games. We saw a really good season with him in a Cleveland team that hadn't been successful in decades. So to me, I still have belief in Baker Mayfield. This is going to be a big year for him, especially obviously if he gets the opportunity to be the starter for Carolina.
Yeah, I think my biggest question mark with Baker Mayfield, we've brought it up on the show before, and I think I've seen it out and about. In such a short amount of time, we've seen so many different types of play from him, and that concerns me. He's such a young quarterback.
Consistency.
But we've seen, I think people labeled it as a cocky Baker Mayfield. We've seen him as really, really good, and then we've seen him as really, really shitty. If you've only been in the league for 3 to 4 years, like you gotta like lean towards one way. You know what I mean? Like you can't be like throwing up a curveball every season for us, because if you're then around for, let's like think of a 10-year for a quarterback right now is maybe 16, 18 years. If you're going to bounce around year after year, people are going to be like, what the hell is going on with you? like that's a lot for someone to follow. So, and especially for me saying that, and he's not even a quarterback for, our team. Like I would be very tired to see that. So, but again, it is early and we have seen a winning Baker Mayfield. So,
listen, in a season from now, I could be saying the same thing about Baker that I'm saying about Sam Darnold.
Right.
I could be like still giving Baker a chance now that he's with a new team and getting a fresh start. And if it doesn't work out, maybe I'll say the same exact thing I'm saying about Sam Darnold. Is like, it doesn't matter what team he's on. It's just not really working out. Mm-hmm. And then last but not least, we put the picture up on our social media pages. We wanted to know, did you like Teresa Giudice's wedding dress? We talked a lot about the hair. I know a lot of people had opinions on the hair.
My mom messaged me on this poll and she was like,
me as well.
I don't know about the dress, but the hair was ridiculous.
She messaged me as well, and she used a lot of throwing up emojis. So.
I don't know who taught my parents emojis, but they like use them now, and like sometimes they're totally out of context. Like,
no, this was spot on. But we were curious what you guys thought about the dress. So this was actually a close one. 54% of you said no, you did not like the dress. Kate, I think we were split on this. What did you say?
So I actually really liked her wedding dress. I thought it was so interesting that we actually didn't find out till like a day or two later that her dress was actually pink. It was not white.
But
blush. getting married a second time. Obviously, maybe a white gown isn't for you if you believe in that tradition of not being able to wear white. If you are, I guess if you're not a virgin, you're not allowed to wear white. That's the tradition there. But maybe that she was following that. Maybe she just didn't want to follow a traditional white gown because she was getting married for a second time. I just really liked the way it crossed in the front. The material seemed really nice. I actually, with not even noticing it was pink, it was very subtle. And I really did like that. The only thing I did not like, and we did go over it last show, was the train. And I know it had a really nice, I guess, saying on it for her family and everything like that. That was way too much for me. I did not like that saying on the train because guess what? You got a picture of it and that's it. No one else is going to see that train. It was so long. It's like, oh God, you got to drag that whole thing. Like I remember picking up your train at your wedding, Katie. If that was your you're the back of your dress. Like I would have been like, damn it. Like, like I just made sure everything looked nice. Yeah. Like that was really long and like definitely tough. So overall though, I did like it. So
yeah. I went with no. And I agree. I was, you know what? The dress was actually kind of understated, which was a good thing considering how insane her hair was.
Right.
If it had been a full-blown bedazzled dress, like it just would have been so bad.
Her original wedding dress and her vow renewal dresses were that kind of bedazzled big.
So I actually didn't dislike the dress until and even though I couldn't spot it out with my eyes originally until I read about it, once I did find out that it was blush or like a very, very, very pale pink, that's when I was like, don't like it. And I didn't look at it like she was doing it like, oh, I'm getting married a second time, because she had a wedding. The wedding she just threw was a wedding that someone throws for their first wedding. She had a bachelorette party. She had the bridal shower. She had the full-blown wedding, the bridal party, the bridesmaids. She had everything. This was a normal, like, first wedding that people have. And so she did everything like it was the first time. I feel like she picked the pink to be extra. Like, everything she did that day was extra. And once I learned that it was pink, I was like, nah, I'm out.
It could have been like magenta though. Like she could have like really done something like stupid and crazy.
Like I would have preferred, like if she was gonna go all out with this wedding, then like just wear the white dress. Like and I actually, if it was white, maybe I would have been like voted yes on this. But the fact once I learned that it was pink, I was like, no, I can't get down with that.
No, I liked it. I thought it was nice.
Better than the hair. We can at least agree it was better than the hair.
Oh my God, the hair, people. I'm still not over it. No. Alrighty, so those were our poll questions for the night. Thank you guys so much. As always, like we said, we had hundreds of votes. Like, geez, you guys are on your game tonight. We're so excited that you are engaging with us. You can still engage with us live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Twitter, you got to tweet. You got to tweet right at us, or head over to YouTube and Facebook where you can comment and we can read your comments, your questions, your concerns, anything that you have for us throughout the show. But why don't we go ahead and get into it, because we got a ton of stuff to talk about. Football, Housewives. We're playing a really great game tonight for all of you fantasy buffs out there. So let's get into football for the week. We are doing our quick hot opinions like we've done over the past couple of weeks. So Katie's best friend, Adam Shine, wrote an article for NFL.com ranking his top 9 offenses heading into the 2022 NFL season. So we're going to take a look at his list and give our top 9 offenses in order. So what do we want to do? Do we want to go 1 through 9 here? Or do we want to go 9 to 1?
We can go 1 through 9.
All right, so let's start with number 1 here. Coming in on Adam's list as the top offense is the Buffalo Bills. Katie, who do you have?
So just how I did this game and my rankings, I actually took each team that I was thinking about and was like, who's their quarterback? Who are their top 2 receivers? Who's their running back? Who's their tight end? And then I kind of ranked them, and that helped me do this top 9 ranking. I'm going with a team that was not lacking at any of those positions. There was not like a weak spot there for them. And
Right.
I'm going with the Los Angeles Chargers at my 1 spot.
I love the fact that the Chargers are at your number 1 spot. They are not my number 1. They're a little bit further down my list, but I think you're right. They have kind of that whole package collectively. I'm going to go actually with another Los Angeles team. I am going to go with the Rams on this one, our reigning Super Bowl champions. I think they do have a very strong offense. They actually made some acquisitions in the offseason where we kind of questioned, how do you have that with, I'm thinking of like Allen Robinson, for example, monopoly money. Everyone's playing with monopoly money these days. So yeah, I think they have a really good offense. I'm not 100% sold on Matthew Stafford. I will always admit that, but listen, they won the Super Bowl. They had a great postseason run last year. They had a great regular season. So going to list them going into this season as that top offense there. All right, coming in at number 2, this is where Adam Shine has the Los Angeles Chargers. Again, love seeing them so far up both of your lists. Who do you have at number 2?
Number 2, this team was the second-ranked offense last year, and they're pretty much bringing back most of the same guys, minus, maybe a key tight end that you'll all remember retired this offseason. But I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I was curious to see. Well, actually, we'll get in a little bit later. Obviously, Tampa doesn't fall at number 2 for Adam. Maybe it'll come in a little bit later. I think they are definitely in the top for sure. But I'm going to put Buffalo in the top, the 2 position here.
Okay.
All right, moving into number 3. This is where Adam has the Los Angeles Rams. So just 2 behind me. Katie, who do you have coming in at number 3?
We're all kind of floating the same teams at different times. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills at my 3 spot.
All right. And I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in my 3 spot. So you're right. And I think this, a couple of the hot, quick opinions and a couple of the games that we've been playing over the last couple of weeks, during the preseason and even, going into preseason, we have seen, these trends of whether it's, you can, here's a set of teams and you can mold them and move them around. And I think that's what makes the NFL so interesting to watch. It's not like you're going into the season and everyone's agreeing on here's 5 teams. I'm agreeing on this and no one has any other opinion. You do have room to move these teams around and we're doing it right now. And it makes sense. And that's why I like it. And I think the NFL still to this day will be a very, I think honestly that Hall of Fame game got viewed more than like the NBA finals. I swear someone posted that. It's like the most wild thing. But you think of, I'll bring the NBA in as an example. For years on end, you'll have 2 teams that just kind of run through it. And they're really, really good. And awesome if those are your teams. But this for me as just a football fan is exciting to see. We're listing 9 teams right now. And there's going to be people on both of our lists that are probably not there. You might have someone I might not have. Adam might have someone. And I just really like that. So,
yep.
All right, so moving into number 4, Adam Shine has the Las Vegas Raiders. Who do you have?
Okay, so this team would have had the 1 or 2 spot. And I told you I looked at all those key positions, but in the grand scheme of things with an offense, if they had a better offensive line, they'd be 1 or 2. For me, they're number 4. It's the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah. Definitely see that for sure. And
can't forget about the offensive line. That makes a difference.
I know. I think people do forget about that. Their offensive line kind of sucks though, which is
again, otherwise to me, it's like their skill positions, they're
right.
Set. They're good.
Yeah. I have the Chargers at number 4. So I love, again, we're not even at number 5 and all 3 of us had the Chargers in there. So you guys know how high Katie and I are on this Los Angeles Chargers team. So I just can't wait for September to roll around to start watching. All right, number 5, this is where Adam has the Cincinnati Bengals. Who do you have at 5?
So this was actually the number 1 ranked offense last year. They're going to drop a little. They lost their WR1 in Amari Cooper. I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys.
All right. I am. And it's interesting that, you haven't mentioned this team yet. Adam hasn't. And I'm putting at my number 5 that they're not a little higher. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. And it's very much so for the reason that you brought up right away at the beginning, really analyzing the entire offense. They are a talented team, but Tyreek Hill is no longer there. There's, you have, the top tight end, in my opinion, and Travis Kelce, but looking at wide receivers, looking at running backs, Patrick Mahomes really needs to take this team and run with it. And I think they will. And I think they are a talented altogether team and offense, but I think in years past, you might have seen them a little bit higher than number 5. And as for you and Adam, I don't know if they'll show up on your list, but not in the top 5.
We will see.
All right, number 6. This is where Adam has the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who do you have coming in at number 6?
Number 6, I have Adam's number 4 team. I have the Las Vegas Raiders. All Obviously, right. A huge addition with Devontae Adams that plays a very large factor in that one.
I am following one behind you and putting the Dallas Cowboys in this position here at number 6 for me. As you said, listen, on paper, they are a very talented offense. So let's see if, I think we say this a lot about them. On paper, it's really, really good. Let's see if they can execute on that for sure. Yep. Number 7. I think Adam was only looking at one player, in my opinion, but he went with the Minnesota Vikings at number 7.
Well, hey, we've got Dalvin Cook. We've got Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen's a pretty decent WR.
No.
They've got some guys. They've got some guys. I'm always a fan of Kirk Cousins, but they're not on my list. I was a little surprised. But they've got some guys. Number 7, I'm going with the reigning Super Bowl champions. This is where I put them. I've got the Los Angeles Rams.
All right. And sorry, I have, this is where I have Cincinnati. So I bumped them a little bit down. A lot of it has to do with the line, of course. A lot of it for me too is I just have to see kind of that repetitive offensive talent going into this year.
Yep.
All righty. At number 8, this is where Adam has the Kansas City Chiefs. Who do you have at number 8?
I have the Kansas City Chiefs, and I have, 2 big reasons, because you can make arguments that, they potentially have the best quarterback. Not in my opinion, but you can make the argument. They definitely have the best tight end. Mm-hmm. So now I'm looking at running back. I don't super duper love Clyde Edwards-Helaire as RB1. I think there's better backs in the league. I don't think he's bad, but I just think there's better backs. And then I actually, obviously losing Tyreek Hill really hurts, but you've got 2 new additions, completely new additions to the team as your WR1 and your WR2. And your WR1 is Juju, who is talking about Baker Mayfield inconsistency. I feel like Juju's had a very inconsistent career.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Marquez Valdez-Scantling as your WR2. And
right.
There's nothing sexy about that duo right there. I'm just not feeling it for Kansas City. So, yeah, seasons past, 1, 2, maybe 3.
Right.
This is why they fall 8 for me.
All right. And number 8 is where I have the Las Vegas Raiders. We've been talking about it weeks on end now. Talented roster for this team. So I'm definitely excited to see them. But again, a team for me, I think sometimes can be a little sketch. So bumping them down. I love putting them in the top 9 for sure. But definitely just have to see kind of that talent unfold in the 2022 season.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and then coming in at number 9, Adam has the Denver Broncos. Who do you have here?
Adam and I do not like this man, but we're agreeing with our final 2 spots. I'm also going with the Denver Broncos. A lot of young talent, obviously getting a new quarterback who I still think is top 5 quarterback in the league, and Russell Wilson. They're going to put it all together. I'm big on Javonte Williams. Obviously, you got young guys like Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton at wide receiver. Mm-hmm. That's a nice, and then you've got a veteran like Melvin Gordon still at RB2, which is a really great double-headed monster at running back there. So I like Denver. I think, we talk a lot about the defense. I think this is going to be a team that's going to be good on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for both of you guys, definitely reading into it, I think it makes sense. For me, I'd probably slot them anywhere from 12 to 15, maybe leaning towards more so the 15 slot. I looked at Adam's list and, I was thinking about mine, thinking of who to put in at number 9, and I almost felt weird, and I had to do it not having the Green Bay Packers in the top 9. And it's coming. I'll compare it to Kansas City.
Aaron Rodgers can't be the sole dude. Aaron Jones is okay, but
I think it's, and I totally get it. Without Devontae Adams, it's kind of like a big question mark, but I think Aaron Rodgers will still be really good despite what he's doing in the offseason, which is weird. And he's just a weird guy in general. But Aaron Jones is really talented. I think he's always going to put up the numbers that you need for a team. And I think offensively, they're still going to drive the ball and they're still going to get points and they're still going to be dominant.
Probably.
So I felt weird not adding them into that list. So
okay. Fair enough.
Had to do it.
Well, very, very interesting, and like the point you were making before, we're going to have so many teams in the mix that could, potentially make a run at a Super Bowl this year. And that makes the NFL really exciting, maybe more so than the NBA. So,
yeah.
But speaking about maybe potential teams that could, make a run at a Super Bowl, maybe some teams that are going to get some early draft picks next season. We are going to give our best worst case scenario record predictions. We're going to be doing this up until the season starts. Right before, we're doing 2 divisions each episode. Tonight we are covering the AFC North and the NFC North. AFC North, we've got Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. NFC North, we've got Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay, and Minnesota. Let's dive into this. I think the AFC North, we'll start with that. This is an interesting division that could go any which way. You can make arguments for any of these teams winning the division. So this is going to be an interesting one for sure. But let's start off with Baltimore. And Kate, let's hear your best worst case scenario for the Ravens.
I think that with this entire division, one of the teams that I do question the most going into the season is the Baltimore Ravens. Does Lamar Jackson have an offensive unit around him that can take them to the next level? Or is he going to have a repeat season where he has to put the entire team on his back? And we've seen in previous seasons that he actually cannot do that. And he kind of cracks under the pressure. And he kind of puts all of that momentum into being a running quarterback. So you have to translate that into winning games because a lot of them come down to the wire. So when I do have a question mark with them, best case scenario, I'll go with 10-7 on them because if they are on, they are on. And I think that's a good record for them to have with this division that even when they're not competitive, they're still kind of questionable, I think. And then worst case scenario, I'm literally just going to flip it and give them a 7-10 record.
Okay. Baltimore is one of those teams where and I hear what you're saying. I think they're going to be a playoff team. And then I think they're going to be a playoff team that doesn't really do anything in the playoffs.
Right.
I've got Baltimore best case scenario at 11-6 and my worst case scenario, I have them at 9-8. And interesting little tidbit. Like I said, I think you can make arguments for any of these teams winning the division. 4 of their final 5 games of the season are division games.
Yeah.
So the AFC North, as close as it already feels as a matchup, between everybody, this could be a nail biter to the very last week.
Yeah, we saw that last week with the AFC East. I think it was the Patriots. Their last 4 or 5 games are all division games, yeah. And I think they were seeing the Dolphins twice in 2 weeks, which is wild. So we are seeing that a lot more lately. And again, it's the addition of the 17th game. So it's really coming down to the wire for a lot of these teams for sure. And again, this AFC North team, we kind of question who's going to run with it. Those last games are going to be critical.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, they were the surprise AFC champions last year, making it to the Super Bowl, exceeding expectations. Sometimes they say that there could be a Super Bowl slump, one of the teams maybe. What are we expecting from the Bengals this season? Best, worst case scenario?
So say the slump does come. I'll probably go in between. Well, actually, I don't even think I can go in between my best and worst case scenario because they are back to back. Best case scenario, I'm going to give them their record from last year. They were golden at 10-7. They won the games they needed to win. They got that fire under their ass for the games that they lost, and they entered the postseason and completely kicked ass. We definitely saw some question marks with the offensive line and some turnovers from that team, or some sacks on Joe Burrow as well. But listen, it still got them to the Super Bowl. So if they slump, I don't know what might happen, but I also gave them a worst case scenario of 9-8 because I still do think they are talented. So if 9-8 is the worst that they can do, so be it. Good for you guys. I wish I could have that record.
Best case scenario, I'm going 12-5, and worst case scenario, I'm also going 9-8. What I want to note is that obviously we did 2 divisions last week to start. We're doing 2 tonight. That's 4 divisions. I would say that out of, 16 teams that we've looked at so far and their schedules and everything, I would say that the Bengals schedule is the most difficult one I've seen out of all the teams that we've covered so far. And so I don't look at them like a 9-8 team, but this schedule is going to rock them. I noted that they maybe have 2 easy games. And when I say easy, it's like, you're going in and you're winning. But every other game, I feel like you could potentially lose this one. So I didn't feel like they had any gimmies like on their schedule. They had like 2, which is not a lot. So very difficult schedule for the Bengals. I don't know if they're going to be able to repeat on their success from the year before. All right, the Cleveland Browns, let's keep in mind that Deshaun Watson is still currently suspended for the first 6 games of the season. We will see Jacoby Brissett. We may not see Deshaun Watson at all this season. We have no idea what to expect. Obviously, it's being appealed. But as of right now, with Jacoby playing the first 6 games, maybe Deshaun coming in after that, where do you see the Cleveland Browns this season?
All right. So my best case scenario, I've got my first tie in the mix, people. I am going with 9-7-1. This division is historically known to tie each other. So you'll actually see another tie come later in the evening as well. They are known to tie within the division. They are known to tie outside of the division. I don't know what it is about the AFC North, but they tie people. So I do have my first tie in here for their best case scenario. And my worst case scenario for the Cleveland Browns is 6-11. Their first 4 or 5 games are winnable. Are they winnable without Deshaun Watson? I don't think so. And I think if they come off and they lose right away, it's going to be a tough season for them. Even if he comes back, I think I've already said, more like morale in Cleveland, I don't think is going to be good. So they come off a tough start to the season. I think it's not going to be good for them. So 6-11, dropping down that much. I think they've actually over the past 2-3 years, they really tried to build themselves up. I think they'll be digging themselves into a deeper hole. So,
all right. Best case scenario for Cleveland, I have 10-7, and worst case scenario, I have 7-10. I noted that I think they're very lucky to have what I consider an easy first 6 games.
Oh, so easy.
Especially without having Deshaun. I think they are winnable with Jacoby Brissett. He's been a starter in the NFL. Right. We've seen him like he's not just a random backup. He's a really probably one of the better backups in the league. And I think he can go in and win games. And listen, I think if he could win 3 out of the 6, that's in the grand scheme of it, a win for them as a team. So I think they could still end the season with a decent middle of the pack record. But again, I'm noting that we might not see Deshaun Watson at all this season. We have no idea. So, all right, and let's round things out with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Caitlin, what did you put?
Another question mark for me in this division. I think Baltimore and Pittsburgh are the big questions here for sure. I've got my other tie rounding out this division, though, that my best case scenario for the Pittsburgh Steelers is 8-1. And guess what? They tie the Cleveland Browns. Okay. That's the tie there. They do tie each other.
They tie each other, what, 9-9?
Probably all field goals, no touchdowns. So that is the tie there. And then my worst case scenario is 5-12. I really think that if Pittsburgh sinks this season, they sink.
Yeah, we're pretty close. I've been saying it a lot this offseason. I think the Steelers is a team that's going downhill. My bold prediction a couple of weeks ago was that the Steelers were going to finish 4th place in the division for the very first time ever. Best case scenario, I have them at 8-9, and worst case scenario, I have them at 6-11. So not far off from you. All right, let's dive into the NFC North. We've got the Bears, the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings. Let's start things off with the Chicago Bears.
Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Oh my. Honestly, why are the Packers or the Vikings not named Tigers? Like, come on.
Tigers.
Like, come on. Like, that was so easy. For Chicago, best case scenario, I'm going 7-10. And worst case scenario, I'm just dropping it to 6-11. I think they could come out and be an average team. And for me, both of those records are pretty average for the Chicago Bears and what we've seen over them over the past couple of years. We've spoken about Allen Robinson leaving the team. You don't really know. You're putting all your faith in Justin Fields. I don't know. So I think I actually sometimes too think that these predictions are a little bit generous in my opinion, but it screams average and this team just screams average to me. So.
Well, you know what? I think I was generous considering that last week I pegged Chicago to be one of my bottom 5 teams. I am leaning towards their worst case scenario record that I have, but I did note that they have a fairly easy schedule. So that will help. And that's kind of why I ended up best case scenario for the Bears 8-9, worst case scenario 5-12. All right, let's go to the Detroit Lions. They had 3 wins last year. I have a lot more hope for them this season, but where do you have them?
I have hope. And this was a team that I really enjoyed and I was excited analyzing coming into tonight's, whole prediction here. So best case scenario, I have 9-8. That's a huge jump from 3, what they had last season. And worst case scenario, I do have 5-12. So it is a little bit on the lower side. But we can't escape the idea of the Detroit Lions kind of being the Detroit Lions. So we have to kind of keep that on. But I'm just noting some games for them that are so winnable. Just looking at the map, they're playing Washington, the Panthers, the Jets, the Patriots, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago.
They're capable of sweeping Chicago. They're capable of
they can sweep Minnesota.
They can sweep Minnesota. You never know.
So I have Minnesota and Chicago on this list with other teams, but they play them twice. So that is a completely other. Those are 4 games right there on top of 5 other teams I just mentioned. So there's your 9 wins right there, if that's best case scenario. But unfortunately, if you look at, maybe Pittsburgh is better than we predicted this year. Everyone's shitting on New England going into this upcoming season. Maybe they're better than everyone says. Same thing with, the Panthers and the Jets. So what if that turns out to not be a winnable game for them? It is possible. So that's why I really had to turn the stakes and give them that 5-12 worst case scenario.
Yep. Well, listen, my best case, worst case scenario for the Lions, whichever one you go with, is a huge leap from last year. And so I see them trending upwards. That's the good news for the Lions. Best case scenario, I have them at 9-8, and worst case scenario, I have them at 7-10.
Yeah.
I
love both records for them.
Teams are not going to be doing backflips over being under 500, but you come back, 3 wins last year. If you finished at 7-10 and got 4 extra ones, you're trending upwards. So
right. Okay. But I also look at too. I mean, I only went off. We'll go into the Packers, obviously, but even 7-10, they could still potentially be competing in certain spots. Like it's something doable.
I'm not going to be surprised if they finish second in the division. I'm really not.
Listen, I'm rooting for that. So.
Finishing second in the division, probably behind this team. Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers.
All right, best case scenario, I am duplicating their efforts from last year and giving them a 12-5 record. I think that's good for them, even coming off of, we were just talking about best offenses, and there might be, kind of some missing gaps for them there, but I still think that they'll move the ball down the field. Like I said, they'll get the points, they'll win games. So that's why I'm just going to keep it easy, repeat last year, not give them any more, not give them any less. Worst case scenario, I actually only just drop it by 1 and give them an 11-6 record. So they still are the Green Bay Packers.
I'm waiting for us to match up. I thought this was going to be.
Oh, wasn't it? It was not.
Best case scenario, I have them at 12-5. Worst case scenario, I have them at 10-7.
What
I noted is that I don't know how this came about, but they have one of the best regular season records last year. Somehow the Green Bay Packers have a fairly easy schedule going into this year. So
bastards.
Honestly, I'm leaning towards best case scenario for them. Obviously, the offense I think is, it is a downgrade without Devontae. And I don't think Aaron Jones. I don't think Aaron Rodgers has enough weapons. But I still think he's going to make it happen. He's Aaron Rodgers. He's dealing with an easier schedule. And yeah, I'm leaning more towards the best case scenario for the Packers.
All right.
Let's finish it out with such a question mark of a team year after year. The Minnesota Vikings.
Honestly, I don't even know why Lizzo put the Minnesota Vikings in her song not recently. That song's from like 3 years ago. That song came out. I don't know why she put them in that song.
It's catchy.
It was, and I think it rhymed. So like, great. But like, come on, like, Lizzo, do you watch football? They are such a question mark. No one knows what's going on anywhere in the Minnesota Vikings. No one has any idea. So I think I did. I went average again for them because, again, I think they're an average team. And if they get these, good for them. If they come somewhere in between, it could happen as well. Best case scenario, I'm going 9-8. Worst case scenario, I'm going 7-10.
Best case scenario, 10-7. Worst case scenario, 7-10.
It just like screams average, screams mediocre to me. So
and my note was they should be closer to that best case scenario record, but they never live up to expectations. So I'm almost expecting them to be that worst case scenario record because they don't live up to what they should be. So
yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know what to classify.
I've been giving them the benefit of the doubt. Like every year we've been doing this show going into everything, and it has not been panning out whatsoever. And I've got to like jump off that train.
I think you do.
It's time. It's time that I broke up the Minnesota Vikings.
If the Bills suck this year, I'm getting off the Bills train. I'll tell you guys that.
They will not. So
I'll tell you guys that. So. All righty. So that was honestly really good. We love giving you guys our best worst case scenario record predictions because we love matching them up when the actual season comes in. So as always, you can always check out the predictions on the podcast recording, and we are posting our predictions across social media. So you can always catch them after the show. I'll have them posted tomorrow for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our big stories of the week of Housewives. So we're starting with the drama llama. It continues. As we told you, Melissa and Joe have discussed Teresa's wedding on a podcast. So Melissa has her podcast called On Display. And on Thursday, Melissa and Joe Gorga recorded an episode. It was called Let It Go. So I don't know if they sang Let It Go, Let It Go. Great song, by the way, from Frozen. I don't sing it as well as Indina Menzel, but you guys get the picture. They discussed the elephant in the room. I wouldn't even call it the elephant in the room at this point. Everyone's talking about it. Oh my God. That's not even like, oh my God. So they skipped Teresa's wedding, obviously, and they had a laundry list of reasons for doing so. So Melissa confirmed that something went down at the finale of the season 13 filming, but is not allowed to discuss the details. So obviously that means Bravo has them under contract. Don't spill it. We got to show it to the world. So they felt after that it would be very strange for them to be sitting at the wedding the next day and wishing them well. However, Joe admits that the day of the wedding and skipping it was one of the hardest days of his life. Joe admits he feels Teresa hates them and never wanted Melissa, him, or their children in her wedding. They also insisted that after the season 12 reunion, they tried to work out their issues with Teresa, but she would ignore their texts. I'm not really surprised about that. No offense, whether she was ignoring or just she seems like a bad texter, in my opinion. So
I'm going to go with ignoring.
I just feel like she's not very tech savvy, though. So I'm not like being in her favor. I just feel like she probably sucks at all of that. So they also claim that they covered things up for Teresa and Louis all the time in order to protect their family. And they did note that they realize all of this drama will affect their children as well as Teresa's daughters. Joe was asked during a Q&A why he didn't walk Teresa down the aisle. That's that's a low blow, I feel. And he said he was never asked. New Jersey is set to return for season 13 in late 22 or early 2023, of which, who did walk Teresa down the aisle?
She walked down by herself.
Okay, good. Strong, independent woman.
I was going to say, or with, no, it wasn't with Louis. It was by herself.
No, okay.
It would have been really nice if Joe walked her down the aisle. Like,
I didn't even think about that.
And Joe was talking about how, like, he's like, we don't have a lot of family. And he's like, our parents are gone. Like, we have each other. That's why he was saying on the podcast, like, why it was so upsetting and why it was so sad. And yeah, that could have been a very, very special moment for the two of them, and something that, you know, they could probably say our parents are looking down on this right now, and it's like warming their hearts that like we're standing together and I'm walking her down the aisle.
Yeah. I don't know. This whole thing just like makes me so upset. Obviously, like we both are close with our families. Like our families mean everything to us. Like even like our close friends, like our family to us, like you and I are family together. Like this just like, it breaks my heart to like see all of this like unravel, because when the wedding was happening and we know that they weren't there, like all we wanted was like the juicy details and the gossip. And now like the stories are unfolding and like you're reading more into it. You're reading to it. Nick, Teresa's got a podcast now, apparently. Drama for that as well. Like you're listening to her, you're listening to Melissa and Joe. To be honest, I'm listening more to Joe, not really Melissa on this, because, you know, she is the outsider. But it sucks. Like it's hard to see it, because clearly there was decisions that were made, and if at the end of the day they feel this was the right decision, like, you know, everyone's an adult in this situation. They can make their own decisions, but it's just sad when you think about family. And how many times do you think all of them have said the word family in the time they've been on the Real Houses of New Jersey? If I had to bet on it, I would say they've said it a million freaking times on the show. So like, it's all about family, 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 family. Like, so just, you know, it kind of sucks to see. Like, it's heartbreaking. Like, neither of us would ever want this to ever happen to any of us. So
I've said it to you before. I just find it ironic and honestly laughable. I mean, it is a sad situation, but I find it laughable that ever since we've seen these women come onto our TV screens at the very beginning of New Jersey, it was family, family, family. We'll ride or die. Like blood is thicker than water. Like this bullshit. Like I'm sorry, but like, you know, if family meant something to you, these things would not be happening. And we are going to have to see how this plays out. I already feel that I'm going to be Team Gorga on this one. But we have to see how it shakes out. But I'm just like, I'm a little bit disgusted at how much they preach about how much family means to them. And it's like, these things wouldn't happen then. They just wouldn't. They really wouldn't. So it's a shame that what they went through, losing their parents, both of their parents so young and like quickly together, that should have brought them together and made their relationship stronger than ever. And this is where they are today. Like it's sad. It's very sad.
And you think of the children, they've obviously both have brought that aspect up. You do, because those are your
friends, like
your cousins, like those are your cousins. And to have, you know, strong relationships with your cousins is not, as a lot of people have gotten older, it's not always the case to be, you know, when you're younger, maybe you're close with your cousins because those are when you're 3 years old, those are the only friends that you have. You know what I mean? Like your family, like that's who you get together with for everything like that. When you get older, you kind of understand that like that's not always the case. People aren't always BFF with their cousins. Like that's not. And when they
all live in the same town, they're all young, like they're in high school, they're going into college. Like these are the times where you should be having a ball with your cousins.
Exactly.
Out there living life.
Yeah. No, I know.
It's sad. It's very sad, but
yeah. Well, there's a lot obviously unfolding. So we'll keep delivering you guys the deets. Like we said, you know, Teresa does have a podcast now, so I'm sure she's going to talk about it. Oh my God. It's on the same podcast network as Melissa's. It's like they own, so think of like a media
company. It doesn't really surprise me. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But it's not like a Bravo like one. It's like some random one that only has like a couple podcasts. Like, of course, they like snatch this one up and they're like, ooh, ratings. Let's get both of these podcasts. Oh my goodness.
All right, well, let's get into our second big story of the week. I'm going to keep this one fast because I know Caitlin is bringing this up later for her get it off her chest. But this week, a new DirecTV campaign called Get Your Together combined the NFL and the Housewives for a new commercial featuring Dallas's Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, as well as Housewives stars Kyle Richards, Teresa Giudice, and Kenya Moore. So I just kind of got Dak's view of it. He said it was one of the top 2 commercials he's ever done and that the ladies bossed the shoot. He met Teresa first, said she was very fun, super outgoing. And then he got to film his scenes with Kyle and Kenya and said they were also fun as well. and that the ladies were the real athletes of the day. So Dak admitted that he does not watch Housewives, but that his mom is a fan, and he realizes how important the women are, how long they've been around, how much everybody loves them. And as for which of his co-stars he thinks would have the most success on the field, Dak picked Kenya mainly for her stature and height. If you haven't seen the commercial, I don't even know if it came out on TV yet. I saw it blasted all over social media. But it is out there. They have combined Housewives and football, just like we do. So I'll leave it
5 years late.
Caitlin's got more to go over it later on, and we have a really good game that we want to get into. So
I was gonna say like the SpongeBob thing where it's like 5 years later, literally get with the times, DirecTV. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our game. Obviously, that was a quick overview, but I will definitely be getting into it a little bit more later. You guys asked, we deliver. You ask every single year for fantasy football advice. And we are just giving you our honest and brutal opinion. I actually have my first draft tonight. Yeah, I do. So I'm in 3 leagues.
What time? What time we got?
I know. No, it's okay. It's the joint. I do the one with my boyfriend, Chris. We co-own a team. Great relationship building, co-owning a team for the 3rd year. So I am in 3 leagues. The first one is actually tonight's, but we're good. So I've got to give it to my co-owner for the time being. So, so we will go ahead and give you guys our fantasy, look into things. We're going to give you our player rankings, and we're giving you our top 3 players for each position. So quarterback, wide receiver, running back, tight end, defense, and kicker. We're going to give you 1 sleeper pick, and we are going to give you a player to avoid at all costs at these positions. So whether they are super hyped, whether they have been busts in the past, we are just giving you guys our guidance as you enter. Obviously, I have my first one tonight. I've seen people already have teams over the last 3-4 days. I've seen
we're sorry if we missed you and you've already drafted, but it is August 17th.
Yeah.
I think we're getting most people haven't done it yet. And so hopefully this really helps you guys out.
Well, I got to tell you, my first one is tonight. My next 2 aren't until I have one on September 4th, and I have one the day after Labor Day. So that is literally the week the NFL starts, I'm pretty sure. So I
have mine in 10 days, the 27th.
Yeah. So people really like to scatter them out, but I have over the past week or 2 have seen some people already drafting, and I'm like, yikes, you guys I need to mentally prepare myself. I'm not prepared for this evening, I'll tell you guys that, but maybe what I wrote down for you guys tonight, I can take into my drafts. All right. So basically what I want to do here, Katie, is go through each position. I will ask you for your top 3. I think then I should give my top 3, and then we move into our sleepers and our avoid. How does that sound for you? Good?
Yep.
All right. Quarterback. Katie, who are your top 3 quarterbacks going into fantasy football drafting mode?
Top 3 in order. I got Buffalo's Josh Allen.
Mine are not in order. Sorry. I know. I never do.
Put them in order.
I know. I never.
From this episode forward, it's always everything we rank is in order. You can do it. It's only 3 people.
I'll put it
All right. 1 is Buffalo's Josh Allen. 2 is Kansas City's Patrick Mahomes, and 3 is the Chargers' Justin Herbert.
Oh my God. Okay. Mine are in order. Okay. I didn't put them in order, but they're in order. I'm sweating. I'm laughing so much. Honestly, our frequent watchers know that I literally never put anything in.
And literally every game is put it in order.
It's hard to do that. Okay. Mine in order are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Tom Brady. Those are my top 3 picks for you. All right, Katie, who is your sleeper?
Okay, he's my sleeper because, and obviously there's plenty of websites that do their rankings. I was looking at fantasypros.com, and they have this guy ranked as their 13th best fantasy quarterback, but he actually finished 3rd in passing yards last year and 2nd in touchdown passes with 41, which is a lot of touchdowns. I'm going with the Rams' Matthew Stafford.
Oh, you love Matthew Stafford.
But
no, I know.
That's what I just said. He shouldn't be ranked 13th.
I did not realize that he
will have 41 touchdowns this year to Cooper Kupp alone. Like, come on.
Is it Matthew Stafford or Cooper Kupp? I don't know. I'm just kidding. I swear to God, my pick is not biased on this one. I went with Tua Tagovailoa here. I think going into this season, a lot of people have like their hands raised. Like, I don't think so. It's maybe a red flag. Not really sure. A lot of people are actually really high on him too. So the fact that I'm actually not really finding a middle ground, that's why I kind of put him in this sleeper category, because look at his offensive talent now with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Mike Gesicki, he's got a lot of guys around him. And guess what? Tua also can launch the freaking ball. He has one of the best long passes in the NFL. And I will stand by that as a quarterback. He can really launch that thing. And if you have those three weapons around you that can catch that ball, I think he's going to be putting a lot in the end zone this year. And Tua is also not afraid to take it into the end zone himself. So he's not like Mac Jones from like an Alabama perspective where he backs up. Tua is actually known to take it in if he needs to. So I think that, people being so left and right with him, I'm trying to find that middle ground, and maybe he is your sleeper and try to advance on him if you can.
All right.
Katie, who is the quarterback that you're giving people advice to avoid this upcoming fantasy season?
I think people already know that, like, I'm not on this train, but I've seen him ranked high, and we've never even seen him play. I'm going with San Fran's Trey Lance.
Oh, my God.
He's high. He's ranked very high on everybody's quarterback list. And by very high, I mean like, 10, which I'm considering if you've got 12 teams in your league, that means somebody's like drafting him. And I can't wrap my head around it. We haven't seen the guy play. I know San Fran is a good team. So, but like, how could you just,
I'm going to go with
throw the dice in on that? I don't know. Avoid.
No. I'm avoiding Matt Ryan. People think, a legacy quarterback going over to the Colts is a good thing, maybe good. I don't know. I've had him on fantasy before for the Falcons, his own team. And now he's going to a brand new team later in his career. Just stay away from him, guys. There's many other people.
I want to say I really like him as a backup quarterback. And I like taking a backup quarterback at the very, very last pick of your draft.
Yeah.
I really like Matt Ryan as a backup QB.
Or if no one drafts him, maybe you take him when you have to sub someone. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, obviously whatever quarterback you draft, your first quarterback is going to have a bye week. And so I would love to have Matt Ryan come in for me, during a bye week.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right. Wide receiver, Katie, who are your top three? Oh, okay. Mine are in order this time. Okay. So
1, I've got the Rams' Cooper Kupp. 2, I've got Minnesota's Justin Jefferson. And 3, I've got Cincinnati's Jamar Chase. Do we have the same?
We do not. We have one different. So Cooper Kupp is at number 1 with me as well. Number 2, I'm actually putting Las Vegas's Davante Adams in, and we agreed with Jamar Chase coming in at that 3 spot. So listen, Davante Adams, I don't care what team he is on. He is very talented, and we've already discussed how talented that Vegas roster is. So I like him number 2 there. But yeah, who is your sleeper?
Okay. I love looking at sleeper rookie wide receivers. So I couldn't just pick one.
I saw Wan'Dale Robinson on there.
No.
Is it yours? Okay.
I've got a 3-headed rookie wide receiver sleepers. I've got 3 of them for you people. Write these names down. You probably haven't heard of them.
I'm writing them down.
I'm going with Indy. I'm going with Indy's Alec Pierce. He was their 2nd-round draft pick. He's actually, I read an article that he is drawing comparisons to Cooper Kupp. No,
I'm writing this down.
Pittsburgh. I am going with George Pickens. He's been a name that is really catching some buzz. He was a 2nd-round pick for Pittsburgh.
His tape is really impressive. Yeah.
They've lost Juju. Some people are going to have to step up and fill in, and apparently they really like this kid.
All right.
And last but not least, someone who's totally going to be missing their wide receiver in Davante Adams, who's going to step up for Green Bay. I'm going with rookie Romeo Doubs, another name that is catching fire. He was a 2nd-round draft pick as well. So I know we had a lot of 1st-round wide receiver draft picks. Don't sleep on some of these other guys. So
yeah. All right. Well, my sleeper is not a rookie, but we do have a same team. We have a teammate similarity here. I'm actually going to go to Green Bay with you, and I'm going to pick Alan Lazard on this one because I think that, for me, and maybe it's a non-traditional look at being a sleeper. I think people could think of that as with my Tua pick as well. We just kind of talked about Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones kind of taking it and running with it themselves, and what are they really going to do? This gives him that opportunity to step up and be what Devontae Adams was. Unfortunately, though, while I am strong on this pick and sleeper, if he falls to you at a good position, take him. I think my only question mark and my only maybe caution sign is that we could have had that same speculation for Juju Smith-Schuster when he fell into that WR1 spot and didn't actually pan out. So there is that caution tape there. But I think, again, if Alan Lazard falls to you in a good position, I would take him. So,
yeah. All right.
And who are you not taking here? Mine's a little spicy. So
I'm a little bit nervous for people going after Michael Thomas for the New Orleans Saints.
It's not my pick, but I full-heartedly agree with you. People that think he's going to come back and be so good, you are on some type of drug, in my opinion. I didn't pick him.
We've seen it with other wide receivers. Like, you look at certain years, like in fantasy, and like one year you could be, a first round guy, and then people have the expectations, and you have to just be realistic. Like, he is not the Michael Thomas of the past. No. I think he could come in and produce. And honestly, I don't even dislike somebody taking Michael Thomas very, very late in their draft. Just do not think you are getting the Michael Thomas from, 2-3 seasons ago. You have to worry about him health-wise too. So I'm avoiding him.
Oh, I'm so happy that you picked that, honestly. So mine, like I said, is a little spicy because he's recently a part of a trade deal. I'm actually going with Allen Robinson on this one. Okay. I think the trade was, definitely an upper for the Rams and a downer for the Browns. I think that he's playing kind of a secondary role in Los Angeles. He's not playing that primary like he has in the past. Right. And he was even in a primary role in 2021. He had an awful season last year. Really, really bad season for the Bears. So maybe some of you might think this is a good thing for him. Spike it up, go into a new team. If Odell comes back and he doesn't get traded, he's right now he's in the secondary position. He's still playing secondary if Odell comes back. So I just kind of question that. And for people to maybe think like, oh, great, another talented player going to the Rams, just be cautious with this one. So,
okay.
All right. Running back, who are your top three?
Okay, so my top three is Indy's Jonathan Taylor at 1. At 2, I've got Carolina's Christian McCaffrey. And at 3, I actually have Chargers Austin Eckler. I wanted do 3 and split it with also Derrick Henry. Feels so weird to be leaving him out.
We're different on the sun.
Yeah, that's my top 3.
We are different. Number 1, I'm going with Jonathan Taylor. Number 2, I'm going with Derrick Henry. Number 3, I'm putting Dalvin Cook into the mix here. So I love Dalvin Cook at running back, honestly.
I'd love to have any of the guys we just named. So
I know.
You can mix them and match them. They're all
Christian McCaffrey is a running back I would actually not take if he was available.
I want to let you know that he's number 2 on my list. I'm personally avoiding him.
I will not take him.
McCaffrey. Yeah. I don't care if I'm the second pick and he's right there. I'm not taking him.
I'm not taking him either.
Spoiler alert to people in my draft. I'm not going after Christian McCaffrey.
You usually tell people that and you just grab them up. All right. Who is your sleeper here?
I'm going with Jacksonville's Travis Etienne Jr.
All right. My sleeper, you had actually mentioned him earlier. I think this individual started off pretty hot and people were very, very interested in him. And he's kind of taken a very back seat with this organization. He's still on the same team, but I think that maybe this is the year that he gets a pep back in his step because offensive weapons around him are slim to none. I'm going with Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the Kansas City Chiefs. So he was hot coming into the NFL. People were so high on him. And I think, like I said, he took a back seat recently. But now with Kansas City, we just outlined their offensive weapons earlier. I think he can really kind of take that front position. And again, if you're looking, we just named a lot of running backs so far. If you're really looking around and you fall to the right spot, I would not sleep on him this season.
Okay.
All right. Who are you avoiding? We might have the same person.
No, we definitely don't. I'm sorry, Kate. I'm going with Las Vegas's Josh Jacobs.
So much hate for him.
The team turned down his 5th-year option, and then he's also going to be in a trio of running backs with Kenyon Drake, as well as their 4th-round rookie pick, Zamir White. You don't like when 3 guys are going to be in the mix. I don't feel like Josh Jacobs, when we're looking at RB1s, he's not high on my list of RB1s. And then if he's going to be splitting carries, I think this is a loaded Raiders offense. We both ranked them in our top offenses going into this year. I think there's just too many weapons. And honestly, the running backs are kind of the weak spot for the team. They don't have to rely on them as much. So they can kind of split the carries between 3 guys. And I think that's what's going to happen in this situation with Josh Jacobs.
All right. I thought we'd be agreeing on the avoidance here.
I think that goes without saying for me.
It's Saquon Barkley. Katie and I have actually given you guys this advice the past 2 seasons. Now we're entering.
I've said this every year, so.
We're entering season 3 of guys, just avoid it. It's not, don't believe what's coming out of camp that he's doing well. Great. If he is, awesome. Maybe pick him up like mid-season. Just we just read off so many names. You guys can do better.
Yep.
Coming from the people that know, just listen to us. Just listen. All right, tight end. This is always an interesting one because you've got your tops, but there's also some sleeps here. So who are your top 3?
1 is Travis Kelce for Kansas City. 2 is Baltimore's Mark Andrews. And 3 is San Fran's George Kittle.
All right. My top 3 is Travis Kelce, George Kittle, and I do have Kyle Pitts coming in at number 3. Okay. You know, there's nothing against Mark Andrews, and I think if I watch our show, I think a lot of times I don't add him into things. He's
gonna be the top receiver for the team.
I have nothing against him. I think he's a very talented tight end. He's just in a small tight end pool. There's just with Kyle Pitts being that young talent, and obviously George Kittle and Travis Kelce just being
Mark
out of this world.
Is a bit of a forgotten guy sometimes.
Yeah, and call it forgotten, but again, it's no insult to him. I gotta tell people that it's really not. All right, sleepers, who you got?
I just really like this offense. This is going to be a high-powered offense, so I'm going to go with the Chargers' Gerald Everett.
All right. I have 2 for you guys. So I'm going with Cole Kmet and Noah Fant. I think with Noah Fant, people might have that question mark moving over to Seattle. But for me, I think this speaks opportunity. We don't know who the quarterback is yet or whatever hell is going to go on in that situation. But for me, he was one of those rising stars that Katie and I spoke about a lot. We really, really did like him coming on the scene. Moving over to another team pretty quickly early in his career. Let's kind of see what he can do there. So for me, the 2 of them are your sleeps.
All right.
Who are we avoiding?
Okay, so I am avoiding Pittsburgh's Pat Freiermuth. I've seen him kind of ranked around the 10 spot. And he actually, he had almost 500 receiving yards last year, 7 touchdowns. That was a rookie season, by the way. So those are pretty impressive numbers for a rookie. But I have to note the fact that, for me, this is a quarterback situation. I think the numbers are going to go a little bit down. I'm not saying Ben Roethlisberger at the end of his career was amazing, but I'd take an average Ben Roethlisberger before I took one of the other quarterback options for the Steelers. So 100%. I don't think people should necessarily be expecting, the sophomore season to look better than the rookie season for Pat.
Yeah. All right. I am literally going from experience. I'm going with Evan Ingram. Do not think that he will be good.
I don't think anybody's taking.
No, Katie, I've seen him on lists, sleeper lists and things that you know. Do not. No.
Okay.
I originally put him on the list as a joke, but then as I did more of research, I was people are actually looking at him.
I didn't think I should have put him because I didn't even think he was on the radar.
Nope, Katie, he's on. He's on the radar.
Do not, you, girl. Avoid.
Avoid. Literally, get rid of that decision. Do not go there.
Yeah.
All right, we've got 2 left for you guys. We've got defense and kicker. These should be pretty straightforward, I think, especially when we get to kicker. But defense, who are your top 3?
1, I've got Buffalo. 2, I've got San Fran. And 3, I've got Indy.
All right. My top 3 are the New Orleans Saints, the 49ers, and the Buffalo Bills.
All right.
Who you sleeper here?
Fantasy Pros has them as their 14th ranked defense, but they actually finished 5th last season in takeaways. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Very good defense for sure. I'm going with the Eagles on this one. And again, it might not be your straightforward like sleeper, but when you're looking at, because you're looking at 32. So every other position, we're looking at 8,000 people. This, you're strictly looking at 32 teams to pick from. They fall a little bit more. I think they're 15 and up. They fall in somewhere in that range.
Yeah, they're very middle of the pack.
They've got some people, though. So again, it's not defense is something you should probably be worrying about. I don't even know what round, honestly, because all these fantasy drafts are so different these days. Everyone's doing a different type of draft. Again, I've said this before. If they fall to you at a certain amount of time and maybe you're desperate to pull the trigger, or you're like in a good position to pull the trigger, I wouldn't really, again, sleep on them, so to say.
Okay.
All right. Who are you avoiding at defense?
I think people just think about this team and they always think, oh, defensive powerhouse. And I'm talking about for decades, people just view this team this way. They actually had the 3rd least takeaways last season. I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, all right. I just went with the Bears because they suck, so don't pick them.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward. All right. And kicker. Who do you have for your top 3?
Oh, who could I have at number 1? I'm going with Baltimore's Justin Tucker.
Take him at number 1, people. You are up at number 1.
First round pick.
It is not a bad decision. Just take him.
Number 2, I'm going with Cincinnati's Evan McPherson. And number 3, I'm going with the Rams' Matt Gay.
All right, we had 2 different here, but I always like to mix it up, especially when it comes to kickers, because I think you can mix it up. Number 1, I am going with Justin Tucker as well. Number 2, Younghoe Koo. And 3, listen, I'm giving the power to the New York Giants. Graham Gano is a phenomenal kicker, and I've had him as my fantasy kicker the last 2-3 seasons. Guess what, people? He gets 2 points. So I am giving credit where credit is due there. So who is your sleeper pick when it comes to kickers? Listen, I know the sleeper.
My sleeper is almost like a sleeper offensive team. And when I look at the kickers, I look at teams that are going to be driving down the field and getting field goal opportunities. I think this is a sleeper offensive team. I went with Philly's Jake Elliott.
Okay. I'm going with someone who actually just got a big contract extension, as we spoke about. I'm going with Chris Boswell on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Clearly, they paid him because he's talented, and I think the Steelers are going to be resulting in a lot of field goals this season. So wrap them up if you can, ladies and gentlemen. And who is someone you want to avoid? Mine is kind of funny, to be honest.
Well, you're gonna get a laugh out of mine.
You put Graham Gano?
I put Younghoe Koo.
Oh, why?
So this has absolutely nothing to do with Younghoe Koo. Obviously, we know he's one of the most talented kickers in the league. This has absolutely everything to do with the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to get the opportunities. This offense is not going to make it past the 50-yard line. We see that issue sometimes with Graham Gano. Graham Gano missed one field goal last year, but he didn't get as many attempts as everybody else because we can't get him in field goal range. So I'm avoiding any kickers that play on really poor offensive teams. And unfortunately, Atlanta is going to be one of them.
Yeah. I literally said my avoidance is like anyone else that we didn't talk about. So just find someone. It doesn't really matter. A kicker, you'll find someone. It's not a big deal.
All right.
But
all right. So great rankings. Good luck to everybody, with their fantasy football leagues. And listen, a lot of us still have time to draft. So if you ever have questions, anything for us, DM us, message us, anything. We're here to help you. So it is the point in the night, though, where we are going to get it off our chest. Positive, negative, football, housewives, life, wine. Caitlin, I know we're circling back here. Why don't you go first?
Yeah. And listen, I know you already had a long episode so far, and obviously if you follow me on Twitter, you've already seen my explosive kind of rant so far on this. So I gotta say, the DirecTV commercial with the housewives and football, it definitely rubbed me the wrong way. It's such a, Katie and I created this concept 5 years ago. And listen, I'm not saying that we are like the Mount Rushmore, like we were the ones who literally put this on like the Declaration of Independence and was like, this is us. We signed it. Like we put it into like our name's not even trademarked. Like I totally understand that. But how many times, Katie, in the past 5 years, have you heard someone say like, wow, housewives in football? Like that's a wild ass concept. Like we get it all the time. And I love what we do. We put a lot of work into this, as much fun as it is. And we are literally just two best friends talking to you guys week after week. Behind the scenes, like we're doing a lot of shit. Like we do this and we do it for you. We do it for each other. Like we really, really love this. When I saw the commercial, it wasn't when we've brought up like hybrids before, like football and housewives, like I've gotten excited about. I'm like, oh yeah, like love that. This really just rubbed me the wrong way because of how eerily similar it is to what we do on like a daily basis, what we've been doing for 5 years. I was so pissed that they picked, two Cowboys people and were Giants fans. And then they kind of went off of, they picked Teresa, obviously a huge mention of us. So I don't really believe in coincidences a lot. This is a huge coincidence, in my opinion. I've been a part of many brand campaigns from a marketing perspective for multiple companies. Like before you launch these things, like you got to do your research. You got to do market research. You got to look up topics. You got to do things like that. I got to tell you, not many people are talking about football and the Housewives in one setting. So I'm not saying that DirecTV's marketing team was watching our show or doing something like that, but something just doesn't turn up overnight. So you have to do your research into it. And I guarantee you this podcast came across their desk at one point that, someone's talking about it. You're not that completely idiotic to put these two things together. So it just really bothers me because now all these people, these housewives and athletes are now making even more money than they do. And DirecTV is really, kind of making more off of it because they're getting these people out in the spotlight and for free. And I love doing it. I would love for us to get paid to do this. That would be fucking the best thing in the world. But it just, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm just not, I don't know. It just kind of sucks. So I know like you saw it and you liked it because again, in the past, we've seen football housewives combos and we're like, yes, like cool. Like, this is the best thing. This one was just different for me. It just definitely looked a little different. So that's just really it. Like, again, like I don't know if the DirecTV people were like, ooh, let's steal their shit. But like they kind of did steal our shit. So that's what I gotta say. There's more on my Twitter. I know we've had a long episode tonight, but I definitely go way more into it on my Twitter. So, but yeah, that's what this segment's all about. You gotta get it off your chest,
All right. Well, mine is rapid fire. Mine is quick. Mine is positive. Obviously, we've already seen players 51 through 100 for the top 100 players for last season. I want to give a shout out to Leonard Williams, New York Giants, coming in on the list at number 97. I'm shouting him out because I don't know if we'll see anybody else. But I was so thankful to see it. I wasn't expecting anything. And I was very excited and thankful to see a New York Giant make the list. So thank you, Leonard Williams. Hard Knocks watch episode 2. All I'm going to say about that is I think Aiden Hutchinson is the real deal. And I think he's going to be a beast. And he's going to be a really fun player to watch. New York Giants, we've got 2 games that we know we're definitely going to. So we'll remind you when they get closer. But August 28th is a Sunday at 1 p.m. Giants-Jets preseason game. And then Caitlin and I are very fortunate to be going to the Monday Night Football Dallas-New York game on September 26th. Cannot wait for that. Woo! And last but not least, I did hear whisperings about a trailer coming out soon for Salt Lake City Season 3. Can't wait to see that.
Oh, very, very.
For 2 people. Summer's ending, but there are things to look forward to.
Like spooky season. So had my first pumpkin spice coffee today. Very excited.
Oh boy.
All righty. We do have stuff coming, in the future, but we've got stuff for you guys now. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Dubai is on Wednesdays at 9. And they just started filming the reunion. The reunion looks were revealed today. Yeah. They were kind of meh. Maybe we'll talk about them next week.
I got to catch them.
Yeah, I'll send them to you. They're all right. Real Housewives Atlanta is on Sundays at 8 p.m. We have NFL preseason week 2, Thursday to Monday. We will post that schedule to our Instagram page, so be on the lookout for that. Hard Knocks is on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. We just had the second episode last night, so we're moving into episode 3 next week. And the NFL Top 100 Players of 2022, numbers 31 to 50 is on NFL Network on Sunday at 4:30. So got a lot of stuff. We're moving and grooving. We're going into football. We're going into a ton of Housewives stuff. I'm very excited. But as always, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. If you are watching on demand, thank you for listening. But we will catch you next time on the Real Football Fans in New Jersey.
Good night.
Good night.